starting with the not main event feud for Turning Point, the semi-main event feud. The Kings of Wrestling against Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Randy Savage.
K-O-W, King, K-O-W, King, Kings of Wrestling.
There was a note in like the Torch being like, can't believe how generic the name Kings of Wrestling is. And then it's like, Ring of Honor choose it for a tag team as well.
Well, I think they were a CZW team first, weren't they?
I don't know wrestling.
You should. You've been like watching it for like decades.
Listen, being old does not give you any expertise in anything. That's what we learn in life.
I mean, like, I get it. It's funny because it wasn't like one guy in the crowd when they announced it that was like, that name sucks.
It's funny when you sit down and watch like quiz shows and you see an old person, it's like, they've been old. They should have accumulated knowledge. And then you see it's like, no, they haven't. Well.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're not my Kings of Wrestling, but I appreciate it. God, imagine the real Kings of Wrestling versus like AMW.
Or the real Kings of Wrestling against like Randy Savage and AJ Styles.
Oh my god. Is Sarah Del Rey the third in the six man?
Yeah, sure. Sarah Del Rey working with Jeff Hardy.
Oh, the dream.
First day back of the month, November 12th, 2004. We had the Kings of Wrestling. Well, Mike Tenay was in the ring first. He was hyping up how great Victory Road was before the Kings of Wrestling interrupted. Jarrett, Hall, and Nash walked out to the ring.
I mean, they strike a powerful image, don't they?
Well, Hall and Nash do. Jarrett's there too.
It's so funny how he's like so clearly like a tag along.
He is the third wheel on the Kings of Wrestling tag team as the NWA champion TNA star.
And he's not cool at all.
No, he's lame. He's terrible. Because it's like, we're literally talking about how Hall and Nash dragged Hogan up. At least Hogan like eventually met their level with like the look of Hollywood Hogan. And yeah. Jeff Jarrett cannot.
No. There's no Hollywood Jeff Jarrett.
So Kevin Nash gets a microphone.
And everything after that is perfect.
So Nash's promo here was meant to be 5 minutes. He ended up talking for 15.
Is this the one where, like, he says something vaguely derogatory to a woman in the front row? And Scott Hall's like, it's okay, they can edit out what they don't like on the mic, and they left it in?
Yeah, because Nash starts this promo with, like, a little quip that's like, oh, I'm not used to this. No one gave me a script. And then Hall leans over to him and it's like, it's not live. They'll edit it if they don't like it.
But then they left it in.
They did. It's a good bit. I approve of them leaving it in.
It's a good bit to leave in that they'll edit it out, I suppose.
Says they won't miss Turning Point on December 5. Nash quips that he doesn't have a script. He then gives a history lesson on his career, or he jumped to the WWF with Diesel. They did the NWO in WCW. Then they cut the Hall rolling his eyes at the words WCW. I
mean, it's so eye-rolly to hear these two talk about their careers at this point. I've seen too many shoot interviews.
Then he officially dubbed them the Kings of Wrestling.
No. You said that with too much excitement. Please say it correctly.
He officially dubs them the Kings of Wrestling.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You up-talked at the end, which Kevin Nash would never do. But
he would trail off.
It'd be, yeah, it's the Kings of Wrestling.
The highlight of this promo, you don't actually hear the heckle, but I assume somebody in the crowd said something to the extent of shut up and wrestle.
I heard the heckle.
What was the heckle?
The heckle was, it was very similar to that. I believe it was just, when are we going to see you wrestle?
And then Nash turns around to the guy in the crowd and says the words, son, if you're telling me to wrestle, then you haven't watched much of my career. Oh, God bless Big Kev.
I love Big Sexy so much. I hope there's never a point where I get sick of him in this run. Because I love him so much right now. There's only one person in the history of wrestling who can make you like them more by caring less.
And it is Big Kev.
Yeah.
The less he cares, the more entertaining the man gets. He worked it out far too late in his career, but...
Yeah, we are the podcast who will sit here and say that Kevin Nash cared too much in WCW.
Yeah, if he cared less, he would have been much more entertaining.
Yeah, Dave Lee
says the roster should thank them for guaranteed money, which then drew an incredible Mike Tenay face.
It's so mean.
And even at the end of the promo, like Jarrett does a promo as well, who cares? He cuts a little promo about how they'll leave Savage in a pool of his own blood, how Hogan ran from Hall, Nash, and Jarrett, and how they'll take out TNA's top dogs before the end of the show. Blah. But then Kevin Nash ends the promo being like doing the $1 million face with his pinky finger on his lips. And it's just like sensational.
Imagine having that much natural charisma flow through you.
Yeah, imagine, like, not caring so much that you come out more charismatic.
Effortlessly cool.
It should come as no surprise to no one that Jeff Jarrett made the decision to align himself on camera with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. He knows they'd overshadow him, noted one source. They still do, even though they're standing next to each other.
Yeah, I suppose he's like hoping for the rub.
However, Hall and Nash are not complaining about being paired with Jarrett on the air. Sources also believe that Hall and Nash will re-sign with the company once their 8-day contracts end, assuming the financial details can be worked out. Nash lives 45 minutes from Universal Studios and Hall is just 15 minutes away. So they like the idea of having fun a few times a month without having to travel.
I mean, let's be real, that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
It does sound like the dream, that literally you're 15 minutes away from work, you go there, you show up. Like, Hall does wrestle. Nash doesn't even do that. He's there in a towel.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to, like, bump. It's like 15 minutes of actual work, too.
Although Nash is high on AJ Styles, he knows there wouldn't be money in working a match with them. However, Nash wants to work with Styles on camera, so an eventual Styles versus Hall singles feud is probably in the works.
He's like, oh, listen, I can't keep up, don't worry about it.
I appreciate that, though.
Yeah. I like that, but also we could tell just from watching it that, clearly Nash was high on AJ because he bumped huge for him.
Yeah, he took a real bump for AJ. So, main event of that show was AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy facing the Naturals.
It was okay.
It was a perfectly solid little match. Hardy threw Stevens over his shoulders into a Styles Clash. Pretty cool finish. Like, he elevated him like a full flip into the Styles Clash. Then Jarrett attacked Styles and Hardy with a chair, allowing Hall to hit Styles with the Razor's Edge and Nash to hit Hardy with the jackknife simultaneously to go off the air.
It's kind of like every interaction between these guys.
What, where just baby faces get beaten up?
Just like, attack, beat up, end the show.
November 19th, we go full NWO, we're taking over.
It only took them a month.
So, yeah, the Kings of Wrestling attack folks backstage, including Red comes out of a little trailer, jumps on Nash, and then Nash lawn darts him into the trailer just like he did Rey Mysterio.
Would have been a more apt spot to do a year ago, but okay.
Why a year ago?
When Red was still good.
Oh, okay. He's just a guy now. But the idea is Red is like TNA's Ray, I guess.
He was.
He sure was. Jarrett defeated J-Rock in the opener. Hall and Nash were on commentary.
I had to go back and rewatch this episode because I missed this match. It was so quick.
How did you miss the match?
Like, I was watching it. I must have turned for half a second, turned back, and there wasn't a match. And then I went back to go put my ratings in for the AMW NYC match. And I was like, wait, there was a Jeff Jarrett J-Rock match?
Yeah, Jarrett won with a stroke.
I'm surprised.
So Nash demanded that there be no surprises at this taping because him and Hall were on commentary. And then a limo arrived.
Just a spit in his face.
So they were on commentary for most of the first half of the show. AMW faced the NYC. Hall and Nash were still on commentary. They were like, hey, why aren't they going to fight Triple X? They're a bunch of cowardly bitches. Later in the show, a second limo arrived, and then Kings of Wrestling were in the production truck being like, no more surprise. Third limo arrives.
I love, like, we've finally reached TNA proper, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's irony or if it's just poetic. But TNA arrived with Kevin Nash.
He brought the spirit. Kevin Nash and Dave Sahadi, the two people truly responsible for TNA.
It's not wrong because the TNA humor that we've been dying for and that we love. I got like a lot of reaction on a tweet that I made about the Thanksgiving TNA clips. Because I was like, this is why we're here. This is why we want to cover TNA, for angles and spots like this.
Yeah, you get Kevin Nash this month. You get the Triple H Vince stuff this month. It's a lot of good TNA stuff.
You get them filming at like WWE's, like while they're trying to film their fucking Royal Rumble thing. But like you get Nash here and then like in the room, and then the guy's like to Jeff Jarrett, don't touch me again or I'll sue you. And they cut back to Nash and Hall going, ooh.
Oh, they're very good. I enjoyed them.
If Terry Taylor was in the production truck, they should have used him in that spot.
So after the main event of that show, there was Kid Cash and Shazarian against Sanjay Dutt Siaki and Hector Garza, which is a match they just ran back on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This Cash hits Siaki with a coconut to win. Shark Boy shows up and eventually gets a Superfly Splash, stereos with Garza and Siaki. Before Kings of Wrestling arrive, stroke to Garza, Razor's Edge to Sharky, jackknife to Sanjay, before the, frankly, pretty awesome babyface army of Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles come out to challenge them to a 6-man tag team match at the pay-per-view.
It feels like a good flow of generation here. You know what I mean? Like Savage, Hardy, Styles. It just feels like a natural progression a little bit.
You get like the biggest baby face of like the late 80s, early 90s, the biggest baby face of like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then probably what should have been the biggest baby face of like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Who then found out he was a tremendous heel.
It turns out very strange.
It's like that realization we've been having a lot lately, is where it's like, it's not like, oh man, these great babyfaces can play great heels, and it's like, no, they're just great wrestlers. It's not like a heel face thing. It's just, oh, they're really good at what they do.
And there are some people who are like much better. Like Styles for a long while was a much better babyface than a heel, but also he's a great wrestler, so he learned how to be a great heel too.
Yeah, my favorite run ever of Styles is him as a heel
In New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Which we will watch in Rain Takers.
We'll get to covering soon.
Yeah, there we go. Both stereo plugs for the patreon.com/kiddingme, Rain Takers.
There you go. What's our next Rain Takers show, Garrett? It's World Tag League.
If you insist on us doing World Tag League, it will be World Tag League.
We can do a World Tag League.
All right, because we're recording this weekend anyway for Wrestling Society X, it makes sense to double shot it, I suppose.
Let's do World Tag League.
All right, so World Tag League will be coming your way on December 2nd, I think, or was it 12th? Sometime in December, you'll have the World Tag League finals from 2012.
It might be the last thing you get for the year.
It will be, because the next thing will be Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. I also meant just like with this show too, because unless we're gonna like record December 20th.
Well, I figure we haven't locked these plans in yet, so we probably shouldn't
On
talk
air
about them,
production meeting.
We'll do the Final Resolution episode, which will be in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll have the Days of Thunder crossover with World Wrestling All-Stars, which we haven't officially locked in yet.
Oh my god, we're confirming that. Maybe this isn't an on-air production meeting and we edited it out.
We've been shouting at Dave and Lee. They probably won't want to do it after all we've said about them. But
yeah, we'll have to run to someone else.
It's the classic, we'll work it into a shoot. But I figure Final Resolution, that, and then we'll come back in the new year with the first episode being Against All Odds.
Sounds about right.
But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, 6-man tag at Turning Point. It will be Hall, Nash, and Jarrett versus Savage, Styles, and Hardy. Savage does do a little physicality here. He does drop Jarrett with a punch.
I was going to say, like, well, so you think it'll be that 6-man tag.
I enjoyed as Savage made the challenge, Savage music then started playing, and Nash started playing his theme on air guitar, or chair guitar, I guess.
He does not give a shit at all, and it's so cool.
The man is just coasting and having a good time.
And he does it for like the next 8 years.
So November 26th opens with my least favorite segment this month.
Oh, yeah?
So there's a bunch of X Division guys either side of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's door.
How do you hate this segment?
I don't mind it in like it being silly, but in the way they presented this, I think it's so stupid.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't make them look cool, but it does make them look dumb, and Kevin Nash delivers a great performance here.
So they have AJ Styles and a bunch of X Division guys either side of the door. They knock on the door as Scott Hall answers, and AJ Styles hits him with a sucker punch, and they all run away, while Kevin Nash is sitting on the chair in a towel.
Yeah, I thought he was like getting ready to like sunbathe.
You can hear them there. He's like, Scott, order food.
Maybe he's like, oh, Scott, did you order food? Go get it from the door.
So if they had anybody other than AJ be the one to sucker punch Hall, I'd be like, all right. You know, if it was Shark Boy who hit him, it's like, all right, that's not bad.
What if it was Chris Sabin?
I'd also have a problem. It should have been Shark Boy or D-Ray.
I don't know. I feel like I don't mind it being someone higher stat shoot than that, but it should have been Red.
At least, yeah, that would have made more sense for him to potshot Hall. The problem with it being AJ is like the announcers play this up as this like great act of defiance.
Or at the very least, like AJ should have enseguried him or something. It's just a punch.
Like they really present this as AJ standing up to the Kings of Wrestling. It's like, no, he fucking cheap shotted them and ran away like a bitch.
It would have been better if he like actually just laid them both out. You can still like jump them because like they're jumping them and it's turnabout as fair play. But he shouldn't take one punch and then run away with all his friends.
Yeah, it's the running away. And yeah, they even had like the numbers. Even if they beat them up like 6-on-2, I'd have less of a problem.
8 of them there.
Yeah, there's like 6 to 8 of them outside the door. They knock on the door, they take a cheap shot at Hall, and they all run away snickering.
And Nash is just confused. He looks around like, what's happening?
I hate this segment. I hate the way this segment is meant to portray AJ.
That being said, it is awesome.
Main event of this episode, Scott Hall versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. And which I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah, this is fun. It's nice to see something like this. And Hall can still do it, you know? He can still go.
You see the snap on his moves and the way he moves. He's obviously much bigger than he used to be.
He also feels like a star still.
Because he's
He
gigantic.
has that aura. And he's wrestling AJ.
Yeah, so he has that star order. He's wrestling AJ. It's just a fun match on paper. Scott Hall versus AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's not a special match, but it's nice to have a big, meaningful main event between top stars on television, something they just don't do.
Yeah, this is Dusty.
Yeah, this was Dusty's first episode, and even like he has big announcements. Like he announces Hall and Styles for this match, and he announces Jarrett against Monty for next week. So it's very much him coming out there and being like, we're doing stuff on TV now.
Yeah, the Jarrett Monty one definitely felt like I don't know if I want to I don't want to criticize it as feeling like a little rushed or a little ham-fisted, but in a way it was, but also it's something happening on the show, so can I get that mad at it?
Anyway, they have been building toward it since like July.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel. It feels like they also have stopped building to it. You know?
Well, they did do it on TV.
I guess. I don't know if I love it.
So in that Hall and Styles match, Nash came out to ringside. Nash hit AJ in the back, allowing Hall to hit a chokeslam, but Styles kicked out. Hardy ran out, drop kicked Hall, but then Hall kicked out. Oh, Styles went for a Styles clash, which I would have loved to see. I don't think the logistics of Styles clashing Scott Hall would work, but either way.
Who's the biggest person AJ has Styles clashed?
He's done it to Abyss, but I don't think he hooked the arms. He just did like a gotch pile driver more than anything.
Like maybe someone in New Japan he hit that was big.
He Styles clashed Joe before.
Joe's, yeah, but I don't know if I consider Joe like that. If he did it to like Archer, I would be more impressed.
Well, Joe's a very large man. Styles went for the Styles clash, but then Jarrett hit Styles with the guitar, allowing Hall to win. Then Savage ran all the babyfaces out of the tunnel, and Savage cut a quick promo, just ooh yeah, his way to Turning Point.
Yeah, I would have given Savage a couple more words, but hey.
Yeah, he doesn't got any long promos. He does just be like, Turning Point, we're gonna take you down. Yeah, dig it. Then
Be a man,